All right, so in order to make your paper sculpture in the round, you're going to start with your pattern paper. So it should look something like this, where you broke up your paper into different spaces with different kinds of lines, and then you did some complex patterns in each one, not just stripes or not just polka dots, that you jazz them up a little bit and make them more complex. When you were finished with your paper, then you give it to me, and I'm going to make 10 copies of your paper, 10 photocopies. So once you get your 10 photocopies, then I will cut them into 3.5-inch spaces. So when I do cut it with the funny shape that your paper is, you'll have 2 that are 3.5 wide, and you'll have 1 that's a little bit wider, maybe closer to 4 inches. And so you're going to have a stack of 10 pieces of each of the strips. And what I do is I take one stack and I take 5 of them, that's half of the stack, and I roll them into tight tubes. So I flip them over and I roll them really tight. If you roll them bigger and looser, they're not as strong and your sculpture will be a little bit more weak. But you're going to take and roll them really tightly, hopefully, not too loose. And sometimes you can just roll them with your hand across the table like this. And sometimes you kind of have to put them in your hands. And then if I get the little end here that sticks out and it's a little off, then I push that up. And then I'll use a paper towel and a little bit of glue. I'll run a line of glue, just a real tiny thin line of glue. And I'll twist this closed, and I like to do it on a paper towel, so if any glue kind of squirts out the seam, that kind of comes out onto the paper towel. And so a nice tight tube. And then I roll all of these tightly, all 5 of these going this direction, so that when I end with this pattern on the outside, just like you see here. And then on this second set, I flip them over and I roll, starting with this pattern where that's on the inside, and I roll those tightly. And usually once you get them started, you can kind of twist them with your hands on the table like this, or sometimes you kind of have to just pick them up, and sometimes they're a little flat and they don't want to roll, they're not round, so you kind of have to bend them so that they're round. And sometimes you just kind of have to pick them up off the table and twist them this way with your hands. So really whatever works for you is best. And so then if I roll this pattern starting this on the inside, then I have this pattern on the outside. So even though it's the same pattern paper, if I roll one end on the inside for half of the pattern strips, and then I roll the other pattern on the inside, I have 5 each of different looking tubes, all from the same exact pattern strip. And so you're going to do that over and over and over again for all of these. And then you'll do that over and over again for these 10. And you'll do that again for these 10. Split them into 5s, roll from this end to that end, and then on the other 5, roll from this end to that end, so that you have a variety of patterns on the outside of your tubes, so that they don't all look the same, or all 10 of those look the same. So after you get them all rolled, they're going to look like this. So you're going to have 30 tubes, all rolled, lots of different patterns on the outside so that they don't all look the same. And then you're going to get a piece of cardboard for the base of your pattern or your sculpture, and a piece of black construction paper that's slightly bigger than the cardboard. And what I want you to do is put a line of glue on the top of your cardboard, flip that over, and squish it down. And then you're going to take a pair of scissors and snip the corners right into the corner of the cardboard. So you're snipping the black paper up to the corner of the cardboard. And then use a piece of masking tape to secure the paper. So you're going to wrap this around the cardboard like this, and then use a piece of masking tape. Make sure that it doesn't stick out the sides, that we can't see it. It should stay right on the bottom of your base. Nobody wants to see that. And you're going to pull those up over securely, tape those. I don't want to see the cardboard on the side, or the masking tape on the side. And then you're going to pull these up, but when you pull these up, you've got these little tabs here, so you can kind of just snip those and get rid of those. And then you're going to fold these up, almost like wrapping a gift, and tape these. Nice and secure, no masking tape on the sides. Very important, I don't want to see the masking tape. Okay, so this is the base of your sculpture. This is what you're going to build from. So before you start building your sculpture, it would be a good idea for you to put your name on the bottom of this. So you're gonna, that's the base. This corner is a little wonky. Okay, and then I want you to write your name either on the masking tape or in the middle, on the bottom, and the day, day A, flip it over, and you're going to start building using these tubes. And you probably are going, your very first tubes are going to probably just sit flat on the cardboard. So really it's just your preference. I like to glue the seam side down for neatness. And then maybe on this one I could stack it up on top of that. So maybe I put a dot of glue here and a dot of glue here, and it's easy to get a little crazy with the glue, so you want to be careful. And if your hands get all nasty with glue, go wash them. I don't want those little brown nasty glue pieces stuck to your sculpture as you go. So if your hands get all covered in glue, wash them, come back and keep going. And so I just want you to create an interesting composition that will balance on its own. And if you've rolled your tubes nice and tight, they're real secure and they will hold a nice shape for you. So I'm starting to build up from the sculpture, and then maybe this one, put a dot of glue here, and I'll make this one start to stand up. So I didn't put the glue in the right spot. Maybe that one stands up. Oops. From the side. And you're just going to take your time. Maybe I do one on this side to make sure I can keep that nice and loose. And whenever I glue my tubes down, I try to always put the seam side down. Alright, and you're just going to keep building, work on balance. Not every single piece should be glued exactly the same way, so think about some interesting, like maybe if you put one here, that could balance. You just have to be patient, put a dot of glue, and then kind of balance it there and hold it for a few minutes, and it should hold and stay there for you after you give the glue a little bit of time to sit up for you. And see, it's leaning a little bit, starting to lean, but it's holding it there. And then maybe I put one here and I build around, or I build to one side. But look for composition, how you arrange your pieces. Is it interesting, or are you laying them all down the same way? And see how tall you can build your sculpture up. So we're not building just flat and going out, build up and see what you can come up with. I don't want to see people just taking all their tubes and laying them like this, and then taking some more tubes and laying them like this, and then taking more tubes and laying them like this. That's not very interesting to look at. Arranging your tubes, standing up, like this one is standing up, or at an angle. Maybe you have tubes that are just teetering on the outside. Very carefully, you've got to really watch your balance. So maybe you put your hand under and you pinch it and hold it, give the glue some time to set up, and then see if it'll hold its balance there. Okay, it's wanting to move a little bit, so I might need to add a little bit more glue. Maybe add some glue right here. Let's see if it'll hold its shape. Nope. So maybe I just do something like this. And I let the tube tell me what it'll do and what it won't do. So something like that. And maybe I need to put some glue on the base to hold that tube up. And that's probably better. I'm going to hold better. So it's going to be a project where you have to be patient and just slowly work a couple pieces at a time, or one piece at a time. Get it to stay. Hold it very still. Count to 50. And then it'll stay. And I didn't count to 50 and it's pretty much staying. And so I'm going to keep building up and up and up and up, or over or out, until you come up with something like this. So here is my sculpture. It's very asymmetrical. So my base is here. It's built real kind of centered here at the base of the sculpture, and then I start to work my way out to one side. It still holds its balance. Here's another angle of the sculpture. So it's real centered on the base here, but then I start to build towards one side, and then it wants to kind of lean a little bit, so then I built back that way so it would do some balance. And I have some tubes that stick straight out that only touch on one side. And so not every tube should be glued right in the middle, touching something else. Some tubes you just glue on one side and it sticks out. And some tubes touch multiple pieces so that it holds it together, while other tubes stick out and only are very teetering and just stuck there. And so this is what we're shooting for, something to balance, something very sturdy, and that will stand on its own on the base, and that's interesting from all sides, because that's what a sculpture in the round is, something that's meant to be viewed from all sides and has a nice composition no matter which way you look at it. And that's what you're going to start to.